You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
One and only life, ending up just another lost and lonely wife. You count up the years, and they will be filled with tears. Love only breaks up to start over again. You'll get the babies, but you won't have your man. While he's busy loving every woman that he can. Say I'm gonna leave 100 times a day. It's easier said than done when you just can't break away. Oh, young hearts, run free, but never be hung up like my man.
We are back. Welcome back. You're listening You're listening to the Lyndia Grant Show on 1340 WYCB. I'm going to tell you all now, we were so taken away with the song. We were in here having a ball. So, Candy, we want you to know we were truly enjoying that song today.
Oh, my goodness. That is one song that just won't give up.
Won't go away, really?
Oh, no. That so still has lots of life in it. Trust me.
Yeah, because it's the truth.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, my God. We danced to that at the Fox Trap here in Washington so much.
You better believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just introduce Candy Staten. Now, you know what? I don't even have to say that much after I play Young Hearts Run Free. They already know. But I wanna talk about a little bit about what was in your press release.
Okay, go ahead.
If you want to use the time, we can go on.
Yeah.
No. Go ahead and see what was in the press. I don't know what was in it.
Okay, it talks about how you were in the shower and you found a lump in your breast and that you had never noticed, and that cancer does not run in your family, but you went to have it checked out and you learned it was malignant.
Yes.
After you received your diagnosis, the week after your childhood friend, Aretha Franklin, had died from cancer.
Yes.
You were kicking off a concert tour, because I remember that was when Bill was going to have you coming on my show, because you were getting ready to go on tour, and I was excited about it. But you had to postpone everything, and then you had a new album out that you had recorded, and it was called Stand Up and Confidence would be prophetic songs from that album that were garnering strength and courage to fight cancer in your 7th decade.
Little did I know I had it.
Isn't that something?
When we recorded that album, I kept thinking about what in the world was I going to name this album, because I've got 30 albums.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I had to we've named them everything, best of, all that kind of stuff. But then I just kept hearing this word, unstoppable. Mm-hmm. Unstoppable. Mm-hmm. And so I called the producer. I said, how will unstoppable sound on a record as a cover? Mm-hmm. He said, I think that's a great idea.
Yes. It says a lot.
It kind of describes you.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. But you know what? It's so amazing that your life can change in a day.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In a week or month. Mm-hmm. In 1 year, your life can make a complete U-turn in one day. Mm-hmm. One incident, you just never know when it's going to happen, how, or why.
And you know what? Her cancer was called triple negative.
Yes.
It's not very common, and it's very aggressive, more aggressive than the normal hormone-driven type. Mm-hmm. According to the National Breast Cancer Foundation, only 15% of all breast cancer are considered triple negative. Right. Isn't that something?
And that's something. Mm-hmm. And why me? I used to why? When they said triple negative, I said, what is that supposed to mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the lady and the oncologist said that's the most aggressive cancer, most aggressive. But let me tell you, when I was sitting here listening to the music that was played just before you came on, and I was in here shouting because that song says, your grace and mercy brought me through. Living each moment because of you.
That's right.
I want to praise And thank you, too, because your grace and your mercy is what brought me through. See, I was diagnosed in July with breast cancer. The CD was released in August, and we were getting ready to go on tour. It was no coincidence that the Lord had me name it Unstoppable. God knew what I would be facing. He saw me through with his unstoppable grace and his mercy. Nothing can stop you with God on your side.
That's right.
You know, and it was like I was, you know, getting out of the shower, and this little lump, and it didn't feel normal. And I said, I'll let it go away. Kind of just brushed it off, you know. But it didn't. It didn't go away. And I called my gynecologist. I said, I got a lump in my breast. He said, you come in right now. We're going to check it. He sent me to get, you know, make a long story short, he sent me to get a biopsy, and it was malignant. And it never got over 1.
Okay, stage 1.
It was a little bit over 1, was never in my lymph nodes. It took me 3 months to get treatment. Now think about that. The most aggressive cancer in the whole cancer family that will eat you up, and it didn't, and it was contained in my breast.
I'm telling you, that's nothing but God's grace.
That was a miracle within itself.
Yes, it was.
And when I went to Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and Dr. John McKnight, he was my oncologist, and they were saying, they took a sonogram. They said, how long you say, when did you get diagnosed? I said, in July, August, September, October. That was October. He said, and you didn't get any treatment? I said, no, this is the first.
Yeah, I was curious about that when you said that.
He said, and it didn't spread.
This is what is God's grace. That's what I'm talking about.
Look at God.
Yes.
It didn't spread. It's contained. And it's not in your lymph node. But we're going to give you chemo anyway.
That's right.
That is a blessing.
Oh, my God. And I went through the chemo and the operation. And I went through, radiation. I went through the whole 9 yards of it. And I took it like a soldier. I said, whatever you want to do to me, do it. You know, and I know God's grace, and I know his strength, and I know his power. He's going to see me through every phase of this.
That's right.
And I'm going to come out smelling like a rose because I know God.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
So now that was a little over a year ago?
That was a year ago. Yeah. In July would have been 1 year, when I was diagnosed. And I'm doing something with this new record. I wasn't able to get out and, and promote. When you put out a new record, we had the whole team, girl.
Ready to go.
Ready to go.
30 Tigers. We had all kinds of people. We even had the publicist for what's her name? Oh, God. Celine Dion.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we had the big top people ready to help me with this album.
Let's hear a little bit of your new one. We don't want to run out of time. We want to hear a little bit of your new song.
But I just want to say this before you hear the new song. I'm donating Unstoppable, a part of it, to the Cancer Society, to CTCA. Every copy we sell, we're going to try to stop cancer.
Okay, wonderful.
So I just wanted to put that in.
And tell them the name of the song we're getting ready to listen to. Some of it.
Which one is it?
I don't.
Which one you gonna do?
It's one Ron sent us. Let's just go ahead and listen. Go ahead. I mean, Bill.
Is it a Confidence?
It's the saxophone song.
It's the one with Kirk Whalen.
Okay.
Love is you.
Love is you.
Love is you.
Oh, yeah, from the Corinthians.
Yeah, 13.
Okay.
Love is kind. Love is sweet. Love is fine. Love is wise as time. Love is you. Love is patient. Understand. Does not seek its own plans. perseveres, will not fail, keeps on trying, will prevail. Love is you. There is hope, there is faith, there is charity, but the greatest all three.
Okay, I know we're enjoying this.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I think we have to go to another commercial break. Stick with us as we close out the show today, and we're going to go to a commercial break.
And we can tell people how to get a copy of Love Is You.
Absolutely.
All right, Miss Candy Staten, talk to us about this song, Love Is You. I love that song.
I woke up one morning and I was reading 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter.
I knew that's what it was.
And you know, I just started singing it.
Mm-hmm.
I just started writing down and putting it in musical form and started to singing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it on a little tape recorder, and I went to the studio and demoed it. Mm-hmm. And it sat in that studio. It still sat as a demo for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it wasn't time for it.
Okay.
So God's timing is not my timing.
Well, tell people how they can get a copy, because the technician said we only got 2 more minutes.
Okay, well, you can get it. You can go on YouTube. You go up on the internet and you can get it. YouTube, iTunes.
iTunes.
iTunes. That's it. Yeah, but you can also come. We're selling it at www.candy-staten.com. That's my
your website.
My website. Yeah. Y'all help me out here.
Let me ask you a question, though. I hear Kirk definitely on the song that we played. Is he pretty much on a number of the songs with you?
No, just that one.
Just that one. Okay.
That one went on a jazz stations wanted to put it on. Okay. So we asked Kirk. Kirk is a buddy of mine.
Oh.
Well, we're gonna have to have you come back, because I can see we could just keep right on talking.
We missed a lot today.
We can talk an hour and still have a lot.
We have a 30-minute show. I'm so sorry. We had so much.
I know. I wish we could do it longer.
Yes.
Well, that just means you'll have to come back with us.
But
that means go out and buy Unstoppable and let's stop cancer.
That's
Absolutely.
right. Yes. Thank you so much, Miss Candy Staten. Thank you for being our guest today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Anytime. Just give me a call.
All right.
We sure will.
Thank you so much.
Guys.
All right. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
If it wasn't for my care coach at AmeriHealth, I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't, and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. Now we are back from our commercial break. Let's go to our second guest. Today we are having attorney Dana Brewington Stebbins back on again. She's usually here with us every month. And I am just excited about what she's been talking about, the threat to democracy in America. And this week is no different. Dana Stebbins is the CEO at the Cornelius Group. She has a law office in Washington, D.C., and she goes way back with me 40 years ago. I'm not trying to date either one of us, but I met Dana when she was working with Councilmember Charlene Ju Jarvis and the D.C. Chamber of Commerce, and she was heading up the Women in Business Committee. So let's stop right there and say I am so pleased that she's still my friend. And Dana, please remind our listeners about what's at stake in this election at the state and federal level.
I'll be very happy to. Let me start by making a statement. In a year when we've seen a sitting president step aside from his certain nomination, a former president facing criminal convictions over payments to a porn star and 2 assassination attempts, the nomination of the first African-American Asian woman to be president, and unfounded claims about pet dogs and cats being eaten by Haitian immigrants, no one can say we're witnessing a typical presidential election this year. That opens up a myriad of things to discuss. But we have less than a month remaining before the November election. So let's focus not only on the national offices, but on the ballot in our state and local governments. And let me try to remind your listeners what's at stake. We talked about this a while ago about Project 2025. But now that the candidates have had a debate and are circulating on every news outlet, social media outlet possible, the positions have become crystal clear. So let's talk about the first one. We are in a dead heat now between former President Trump and Vice President Harris. And men are turning out to be the critical voting bloc that both parties are going after. Men, some of whom don't believe a woman should be president. Men, some of whom don't believe a black woman should be president. And men who like what they hear from Donald Trump are a critical vote. So here's what they're voting on coming up. We have immigration and border security. You remember there was a bill that would have solved or helped to solve the border crisis, a bipartisan bill that Trump got on the phone and called his Republican cronies and told them not to pass the bill because it would give the Democrats an advantage in the election. And so we still have a crisis at the border. The Republican candidate solution is that he intends to have mass deportation starting the day after he's inaugurated. Mass, meaning at least 40,000 in the beginning and then more thereafter. What happens to that workforce that is mostly immigrant? What happens to the families of those workers who are here trying to make money and send them back home? What happens to the students who have come here on visas? What happens if you have a mass deportation of 40,000 people? So that's one. Reproductive freedom is the second one that's on the ballot. The Republicans want a national ban on abortion. And then they want to move to IVF ban, that's in vitro fertilization ban, and control of contraception. I don't know why anyone would support a party or a candidate who wants to deny women the basic freedom to control their own bodies. But that is what they're running on that issue. On economy and the trade and cost of living, the Republican candidate has promised tax cuts for the wealthy. Again, he did this before when he was in office. He has not focused on the rest of us, but tax cuts for large corporations and wealthy individuals. And then the elimination of Social Security. He has not talked at all about the cost of living, while the vice president is focusing on the average ordinary family and what she can do to try to cut the impact of inflation and increase their buying power. She has said she wants to create economic opportunity by lowering taxes on small businesses and people who make less than $400,000 a year. Next one is energy and climate change. You remember when the Republican president, then president, said that climate change was a hoax, that there was nothing true about it? Yeah. Remember that, Lyndia?
I do.
Recently, we have had 2 back-to-back hurricanes that have destroyed towns, villages, and families because of climate change, because of what's happening in the atmosphere. His position is still the same, that it's man-made and climate change is a hoax. He also wants to start drilling again in areas that are now safe from drilling because they're in conservation areas. He wants to open up drilling wherever he can, so that he says, so that it will reduce our reliance on foreign oil. But he has committed to the large oil companies that they will be the ones drilling, and they'll still control the prices. Foreign policy. The Republican candidate favors strong dictator-led countries. He supports Russia, China, North Korea, and he supports the apartheid and genocide in Israel. His theme is America First, and he's willing to take us out of every international organization that was set up to keep peace in the world. Vice President Harris is guaranteeing America's allies that we will still support them, like Ukraine. And so there's a stark contrast there. So the former president wants to emulate Israel in that he wants to create a Iron Dome missile defense system so that when we pull out of all these international treaties and we become the target of these larger companies, that Iron Dome can protect us. That Iron Dome will cost the nation roughly $2.5 trillion. Those are some of the issues that are on the ballot at the federal and state level. In state houses across the country, the abortion ban is being pressed. The redistricting is being pressed. The elimination of the Department of Education and the return of the control of education to the states, which could end up in segregation again, by the way. And so these are issues that not only will be on the federal ballot, but will be on the state ballot when your listeners go to vote in their states. This is a critical election because all of those things were guaranteed, somewhat guaranteed, in the Constitution or constitutional amendments. And so the final thing I want to say is that the Republican candidate and some of his allies in Congress have pledged to eliminate the Constitution of the United States.
Yes, indeed, they sure have. Well, Dana, given all that, how in the world can we be assured that we're going to get to exercise our right to vote in light of the large number of people that they have been purged from our voting rolls? I've been hearing a lot about that.
That is a great, great question. An inclusive democracy, Lyndia, requires free and fair ballot access. But right now, too many states are limiting this right by mistakenly purging eligible voters off the rolls and silencing their voices, either when they come to the polls by requiring identification that they may or may not have, or changing their polling place without telling them. So right now, the states that I'm going to tell you about have removed more than 19 million people. That's 8.5% of registered U.S. Voters. 8.5, 19 million people have been purged from the rolls since 2000 up to 2023. They are largely in Arizona, California, Georgia, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio, Texas, and Wisconsin. Some of those states are key swing states. And when you find out, when you show up, that you cannot vote because you're no longer a registered voter, it's too late. So what I'm urging your listeners to do is to go to the site where you check your voter status. It's canivote.gov. Can I vote? And when you get on the site, select voter registration status. Then choose the state, and you'll get to the page for your state's website. There you can put your name in to see if you are still registered. You may not even realize that you're no longer registered, because if you don't vote, if you haven't voted in the last 2 elections, they can purge you from the rolls. Or if you have a federal crime or conviction, but largely if you haven't shown up, they can purge you. But they're purging people who have voted, so it's not even that. You have to check what you need to bring to the polls. You have to have proof of residency, proof of citizenship. What do you have to have? And now you have a time to do it, because as long as you check your status before voting day, November 5th, you can, if you've been purged, re-register. When you go to the polls, every polling place will allow you to register there, or you can go ahead of time and re-register. But don't get caught short showing up and then finding out that you are in the wrong place or that you are no longer on the voting rolls.
Well, that's great information, Dana. I'm going to be sending this show out all over the country, especially to those battleground states that you named and states that purged these millions of people. We got to get this word out.
19 million.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Almost 20, and it's a lot.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Stebbins, for being my guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our show for this week. We hope you have enjoyed Dr. Julian Malvo and Attorney Dana Stebbins. We're at a very critical time now when we are finalizing our vote and getting ready to hopefully bring Vice President Kamala Harris on as our next president of the United States. A very critical time. And before I close, I want to make this announcement. This Sunday is Women's Day at the All Nations Baptist Church, where I serve as chair, and Reverend Mahogany Thomas is our guest preacher. She is the Chief Operating Officer at Bread for the City, and we're honoring 9 women that we consider foot soldiers. And on Saturday night, we invite you to bring your young people to the All Nations Baptist Church for movie night. Our young ministry, headed by Khadijah, is having popcorn and a movie and hot dogs, and everything is free. And it's going to be some discussion, some opportunities for young people to enjoy their night. That does it for our show this week. Ladies and gentlemen, I close with this each week. Words, thoughts, and deeds have a boomerang effect, so be careful what we send out. Scripture says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. From the Lyndia Grant Show, I'm your host, Lyndia Grant. Until next week, good day.
Thank you for listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.